I believe I have Honorable Speaker, I'm suffering from from site issues. Honorable Speaker, if it is marked in green, the size of the school. No, thank you. I decided. Thank you very much for your kindness. Honorable Speaker, the size of that parcel that is marked green, and I can always clarify. I wish to state as follows that the ministry, okay, I think what I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, as I will proceed further, is that we have already pulled out. What we found is that there was no survey for the specific plot where the school is using. Despite the fact that the entire land had been surveyed, this particular parcel, after the PDP, the parcel for the school was left basically unsurveyed without beacons, and no actual survey was done. So, Honorable Speaker, therefore, maybe it's important for me to say on page, the overleaf, that I wish to state that the ministry has no, there is a question on C for complaint in terms of what we have done to complaints. But maybe I wish to say that in B, this parcel, having been one of the parcels that ought to have been given numbers, it was left without survey. Ordinarily, most public utilities in this country have not been surveyed, and we find, and that is why that's why we came up with the institutional titling. And therefore, if I proceed to the third question, maybe it will bring out what I want to say, that the ministry has no records of complaint because I've been asked what we have done. I've tried to go through my records to find out whether there is a complaint by the primary school. I didn't find any. There could be, but for now, I was unable to find any specific. And I instructed my teams, Honorable Speaker, to call the primary school, the head teacher. She was very untrusting of KJ because she didn't understand who was calling her. It is not me, but my teams couldn't get the response we were looking for because I wanted to know whether she has correspondence relating to the entire parcel. And we found that after we surveyed, we were able to get parcel number, which I have given down there, parcel number, block number 56/853, because after receiving this question, your Honorable Speaker, I instructed the Director of Survey, and that's what I'm saying in this answer, especially the last two paragraphs, to survey the land because I found it was not surveyed. So we have surveyed that parcel. We have come up, from the survey, the Director of Survey found 8.44 acres that was able to be completed by way of survey. And Honorable Speaker, I'm in the process of survey is complete. I have directed the Land Administration Director to issue a lease for Martin Luther King, and that's what I'm saying in the last paragraph. A lease has been now processed in the name of Nairobi City County because this land, the lessor, is Nairobi City County, and therefore Martin Luther King will be a beneficiary, but the county will hold the lease in trust for the use by the primary school. The lease document has been forwarded to the county secretary Honorable Speaker, Nairobi City County Government for execution, being the lessors, and therefore soon thereafter I'll be able to get a certificate of title. And so I was saying that the primary school was not able to give me relevant information, but I have asked for further engagement with the head teacher, Honorable Speaker, so that I find out where the claim for the school is coming from. Honorable Speaker, let me say that the particular parcel where we may be departing with the fact that the whole land belongs to the primary school, I'm saying in paragraph 2 there, I'm aware that the school has a claim of ownership of LR number 209-10466. That is a different parcel from the parcel, the question sent to me by raised by the Honorable Senator, because the parcel Honorable Senator was discussing is the bigger mother title, parcel number 4401, and that does not include, from the records that I have found, does not include parcel number 10466, which measures 2.150, as more particularly shown in survey plan, the survey plan 126375, registered in the name of the BT Enterprise Company Limited. So to answer this question comprehensively, there are two titles or two parcels, but the school, Honorable Speaker, maybe I could finish that and say that the grant for a term of 9 years with effect from 1st of April, this is now relating to where the BT is, and that is really maybe the claim by the school. That land belongs to the BT Enterprise by way of grant given with effect from 1st of April 1982 at an annual rent of 7,000. The grant for this property was issued on 24th June 1986 by the then Commissioner of Lands, and it was registered in 1986. On 17th of December 1986, the property was charged to Standard Bank, and therefore the actual position is that this parcel is not within the party development plan, which contains parcel number 4401, and therefore it did not belong to the county government or county council then. Well, therefore, there has been a challenge is how then does the school seem to occupy the first parcel that I have now made a lease and waiting for the lease to be executed by the county government, because even though it's a primary school, ordinarily the CS Treasury becomes the trustee on behalf of the school. But this specific one, by virtue of the entire mother title being owned or under the lessorship of the county government, will have to be signed by the county government. I do not see any challenge because the school is using that land, which is then I've given the acreage there. Maybe the question is then how does the school on the ground, how is the school on the ground using this particular parcel? And that's why the school has been complaining about encroachment, possibly oblivious of the fact that this title, measuring 2.15 hectares, that's about 5 acres, has a different ownership. Honorable Speaker, I have been trying to think through this particular eventuality. I believe because the two parcels in terms of ownership, one was under the Commissioner of Land and the other one under the county government, I believe that because this land was given by way of a letter of allotment, proper process, there may have been an oversight, Honorable Speaker, to complete this answer, that possibly the people who should have gone to the ground, because the school seems to have been there even then, but the ground is occupied by the school, and therefore a ground report should have guided the commissioner not to allocate this land. So if any changes were to occur, then the process of recovery of the land in the name of the BT, who have been unable to access by way of occupation of this parcel because the school is using that land. And therefore, I suppose that that is something that will require maybe further interrogation and rethinking of how then to engage the BT and the school. That is something I would be willing to undertake, but for now, the legal title for that particular parcel belongs to the BT, and there is nothing I can do about it for now other than further interrogation to understand what happened those days. And as you can see, Honorable Speaker, it's a fairly old lease that was issued with effect from 1982, the lease takes effect from 1982, although it was issued on 24th of June, 1986. So it's not a recent encroachment, and it is not an encroachment, it's just the fact as it is. And therefore, we can only understand. And I'm told that the BT has never been able to access because the ground occupation is by the school. I think I've given enough response, unless there is need for further clarification, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, do you have any supplementary question?
Yes, in fact I do, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure I'm not the only one in the House who's been left more confused by the responses when we began. Honorable Speaker, I want the CS to know there is a reason why the school administration do not trust them. There's a reason. In just the last 3 weeks, there was, I don't know if the CS is aware, there was an attack by goons at the school. We have had 3 head teachers in the last 2 years, and they are very aged, of course, Honorable Speaker, given the circumstances. And I would want to advise the CS that there's a reason why these people come to the elected representatives. If you wanted engagements with them, you should have done it through my office, and I'm sure we would have made progress. But I want to be very, very specific, Honorable CS. You have established that there was an error, that the school was there before this allocation was made to the BT. I think what you should be telling this House is that we, as a Senate, together with your ministry, should go to the ground and ascertain the facts. If these people have never been on occupation, the lawyers in the House will tell you about adverse possession. You cannot lay to claim to a property that you have never occupied. I think in the public interest, why is it not possible for your ministry to cancel that title for the BT so that the school can continue to operate in the space that it has always operated? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may respond.
I believe the Honorable Senator, Honorable Speaker, is in a better place by way of the response I've given. One, the school did not have a title, and have prepared and done processes to prepare a title measuring 8.44 acres. So that is a step that I have made following this question when I made necessary records interrogation. Number 2, I have said that I have found that there was a title, another title, and the school did not seem to understand, one, that they did not have a title at all. They have not engaged my office. And the fact that you are saying I should have come through your office, I think, Honorable Speaker, the normal processes by the ministry have been undertaken, and I am not saying we will not get to the school. All I'm saying is that I needed more time, and we will be looking at that. I will not be able to commit here that I will cancel the title. What I will commit to do is to understand how the two seem to have, a title seemed to have been issued by the commissioner, and it is not for yesterday. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it's better that I make full disclosure. whenever I have made good attempt to even cancel title, which is fraudulently issued, then maybe I have a DCI report. I'm not saying there is one in this particular matter, but I have faced litigation, including Tom Boyer. I'm facing litigation in court because obviously the courts don't agree that I have the authority as the cabinet secretary to cancel a title without an order of the court. So basically what we need to see is what gap could have existed before the title was issued if the school at that time was on the ground. And therefore, I don't think there is any confusion. So far, the school, in my view, sits at a better place because I've issued the title for what is possible to issue, and then we deal with the balance of the land that's already having another title. And therefore, considering the time this question came, processes of cancellation of title are also legal processes, and if you have to have proper grounds to be able to proceed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Manzo.
Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary has talked of survey that land recently. And Mr. Speaker, in many parts of the country with similar primary schools, have a similar situation as the Martin Luther Primary School. What has the CS done to make sure that this secured, and especially that survey, where nowadays, Mr. Speaker, they are charging 38,000 shillings as a ministry to do survey for anyone in public land like schools and also private land, especially in Kibwezi, West Makueni, Makindu area, where residents are up at arms. What is this new fee you are charging Kenyans? And have you finally been to this school? Have you visited this school to know the center, to see for yourself on ground? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mngatana.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii. Bwana Spika, hii swali inahusu shule ya msingi ya Martin Luther hapa Nairobi. Ya kwamba walinyang'anywa, ni kama wamenyang'anywa title deed ya mahali ambapo wanafanyia hiyo shule imejengwa. Swali ni kwamba kwetu Tana River na katika kaunti zingine, je, kuna mpango wowote wa kiserikali wa kuhakikisha kwamba shule zote zinapewa title deed badala ya kungojea mambo yafanyike alafu unatoa lease ya kujaribu kurekebisha? Kuna mpango wowote ambao serikali iko nayo? Manake kama mambo ya taa, tunajua electricity, tuko na mipangilio ya kwenda kwa mashule na kuweka hizo taa stima. Lakini je, kwa wizara ya ardhi kuna mpangilio wowote? Kwa sababu haya tusipoyafanya, leo tutafanya Martin Luther, kesho tutafanya ingine na ingine na ingine. Je, waziri, kuna mpangilio wowote? Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Mundege.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi niweze kuomba swali katika Embu County. Madam Waziri, umefanya kazi nzuri mahali ingine ya kujaribu kurekebisha mambo ya mashamba, na ni kesi imekuwa na mambo mengi katika Embu County. Mbere South, Mwea Sub County kuna shinda na imekaa kwa miaka mingi. Watu wengine wako na title ndi, wengine wana, kuna shinda na unaielewa vizuri, wengine wako na eka kama 100. Ni njia gani unaweza kusaidia kusiwe na mambo ya vita? Kwa sababu kuna uvumi kutakuwa na vita kubwa sana kwa wale watu wako wa mashamba na wale wa wako. Ndio kila mtu aweze kupata kama ni eka 3 ama eka 5. Na unajua hiyo maneno utasaidia namna gani hiyo maneno ndio iweze kuisha, ndio kila mtu awe ameridhika. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Chute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Madam CS, thank you for coming here today. Honorable Speaker, I was a bit confused because Madam CS had some eye problem, or even she was not following her documents quite well. Honorable Speaker, Madam CS talked about she is going to do further investigations. She has deferred to come to this house on several occasions. She had enough time to conclude this matter. Can she tell this house when, the exact time, she's going to conclude this matter to its final conclusion? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mwenda Gataya.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, nafikiri nimekuwa na maswali mengi sana kuhusu hati miliki. Sana sana kwa zile sehemu ambazo zimepakana na kaunti zingine. Mimi natoka Tharaka Nithi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na kuna sehemu ambazo Mheshimiwa Spika zimekumbwa na mizozano mingi sana kwa sababu kumekuwa na vita kati ya watu kwa sababu ya ukosaji wa kimiliki, hati miliki, Mheshimiwa Spika. So ningependa kuuliza Mheshimiwa Waziri, ni lini wakati wizara yako itaweka mipango, kwa sababu kuna sehemu ambazo kama Tulima location, sehemu za Ntoroni, sehemu za Murinda ambazo kwa jandi zimekuwa na mizozano na kaunti jirani. Hizo sehemu zitapata haki miliki lini, na mashule ambayo yako huko bado yanakumbwa na hiyo hayo matatizo?
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Cabinet Secretary to tell this House the status of processing titles for schools, because I remember there was a time when the government said that they were going to process titles for all the schools in the country. And now you can see the position we are in with Martin Luther. So can she tell this House the status of titling of all the schools in the country?
That's what Honorable Mgatana has just asked. Senator Munyahaji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is just to ask the CS that initially this land where the school is sitting was LR number 209/4401, which was subdivided. Now, what was the original area that was reserved for the Martin Luther School? Thank you.
Senator Katuri.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Kwanza ni kushukuru waziri ambaye nimefanya naye kazi kwa miaka 10. Tuliingia bunge naye mwaka wa 2013. Na kwanza kabisa mashule yanashinda ya hati miliki, shule mingi hazina hati miliki za mashamba, public schools. Then swali yangu mwafaka Bwana Spika, nauliza sababu vile Senator Gataya amesema kati ya Meru County na Tharaka Nithi kuna mzozano sana wa mashamba pale. Na Bwana Spika, watu wameuawa pale, wengine wanakatakatana kidogo. Na kuna shida pale, na kuna Kongo report ambayo ilitolewa miaka ya zamani. Na hiyo Kongo report iliambiwa ndio itarainisha hiyo mpaka yetu, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo nauliza waziri kama ako na taarifa ya kwamba kuna shida iko katika hiyo sehemu ya nchi ya Kenya, na vipi atafanya kuhakikisha ile Kongo report imefuatiliwa vizuri na mashamba yamewekwa bayana na kurainishwa kati ya mpaka ya Tharaka Nithi na Meru County, Bwana Spika. Asante.
Honorable CS, you may now respond to those questions.
Honorable Speaker, I think most questions relate to what is the ministry doing in respect of titling for the schools, the public schools in the country. We have a national school titling program for the primary schools. I do not have the update of where we are, but it is work in progress, and we are working on that. That is something I can give a report later of how many titles we expect to produce, the ones, and then possibly also look at where we may have a problem. But the titling is free, and we are not charging the schools. It is part of our titling program, which is an annual program also, where we target about 400,000 titles in total. But for school, it's a separate program that we are working on, and I can provide a report in due course, or as may be required by the Senate, on where we are, because that question was not with me. And therefore, I want to assure the Senate that there is a program specific for titling, but it's also important that the managers of the schools and any member of parliament or senator can also support in terms of sensitization so that the schools provide the necessary records. But we are, under that program, there is survey and titling itself, and all those fees are covered by the ministry. In terms of this school, I think the question is, because the land was bigger, what was the size of the school? I think sometimes the truth is the better answer. The school land that is in the PDP is what we have now surveyed through my office of the Director of Survey. And the total acreage, and really there is no confusion about that, is 8.44 acres. The school, however, is using a bigger land with a different title. The extension to the land titled in the name of the BT is not part of the PDP. May I clarify? The PDP that I have put here as one of the annexures is for the land where the school is, the 104 acres. The extra land where the BT has been given a title was a different title, different PDP. That was an allotment and allocation by the former Commissioner of Lands. And therefore, the two are different parcels. But the school may not have known that. I don't need to go to the ground because the aerial survey has shown me where the school is occupying. So the school is occupying the land that we have now come up with a survey and are titling. In the next 30 days, I will have a list for that. Of course, I may be, possibly there could be an argument, maybe that I am now allowing, I should have done the entire land where the school is occupying. It's not possible because you cannot issue a title, Honorable Speaker, to a land that already has a title. You would have to start a process of either cancelling or dealing with the existing title. But the title I'm preparing, there was no title on that land. So I think to that extent, I may not need to go to the school because my Director of Survey has actually gone to the school personally. The report is correct. I think we should be looking at what happened so that there is another title in a parcel of land that is being utilized by the school. And I have clarified that it was an allotment by the commissioner which was not allotted to the school. I have no record to show that the school, other than that they are using, using also doesn't give full rights to the land. But and I think those are the processes I said they are legal. I think finally there was the question from Meru and Tharaka, the conflict that has stayed for long. I think the senator from Meru knows, and I have been here to respond to that question before, and I think it is on record in this Senate that the problem of Meru and Tharaka is not a titling problem. It's a community ethnicity problem because the people of Tharaka and the people of Meru have their own issues which at community level and leadership level must be addressed. Because when my teams went to that specific area to do titling, you have rightly said people have taken pangas, people have fought. They must reach a point where they agree to leave the work to the Ministry of doing titling and showing them where the parcels are. But they want my ministry to deal with administrative and electoral boundary issues which are not within the issue of land and titling. I think the two counties must deal with those disputes, bring the communities together, and when those are resolved, because IBC is really the institution that should deal with the disputes regarding to the dispute of electoral boundaries. They have mixed electoral boundaries now, the county boundaries and the land boundaries. Then it becomes very complicated. The people who are Tharaka and they have land falling within the Meru County don't want to be given land with the parcel numbers that show that the land is in Meru, for example. And similarly, people in Meru also don't want. So until we deal then with the electoral boundary of the counties or the county governors, who also don't seem to want to deal with the issue because they say it's a political issue. So until that is resolved, Honorable Speaker, I am not able to complete. That work started quite a while back. We have left it because my people, the technical people at the ministry, were actually chased with those bangers that the Honorable Senator has said. And we don't want to risk lives. We need to resolve the issue, and therefore, and the Honorable Senator so knows that it's a bigger issue and it's not a titling. That's a work I can finish in 2-3 months. Let them deal with the political issue, Honorable Speaker. Yes. There was a question from Embu. Embu dispute is not before me, Honorable Speaker, for now, and the clans, the land issues in some of the, we basically have finished a lot of demarcation and adjudication, but cases seem to still be coming back, and those are cases on appeals, not necessarily that we are not working, but I think the Embu communities also have too many objections that stop the completion of adjudication. But largely, we have done most of the work in terms of adjudication in Embu. If there are disputes, they could be, because I don't have details of the disputes you are referring to, they could be property disputes or boundary disputes or clan disputes that I know sometimes stay longer. So maybe the Honorable Senator Mudigi could bring to my attention the specific parcels or adjudication sections so that I can be specific and deal with those. Thank you very much.
Senator Faki, has your query been responded to?
I asked the CS whether that land which has now been subdivided and a portion allocated to the school, was it part of the original LR number 204/4401? Because if it was part of that, then there must have been a PDP which was made that subdivided the rest of the land and allocated it to the other buyers or whoever they were. And then the land which was remaining was a public utility land. And if it was public utility, then the school occupied the whole land that was shown to be a public utility land. And thereafter, somebody hived a portion of that land. In doing so, he has now denied the school a portion of that land. Now, if the CS proceeds to issue us a title now for the portion that is used by the school and leaving out the other portion, it will in a way legitimately give that land to Thabiti Finance. Just like what happened with Ruaraka the other day. I think the Supreme Court gave a decision, and the Ruaraka issue was here in the Senate, in the last Senate, where the Public Accounts Committee was probing the payment of 1.5 billion towards that land. So if the CS maybe could do her investigations before they issue this title to the school at the moment, because if they issue, in a way, they'll be giving a go-ahead to the owner of the other portion that this now does not belong to the school. The school has been given their title, and therefore they should restrict to their title. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, may I maybe repeat myself so that possibly I can clarify for the Honorable Senator. I have annexure 1 shows the land as per PDP that is for the school. That parcel and is also marked Martin Luther under the PDP, Martin Luther Primary School. That is the land I have surveyed and I'm processing the title. The land next, which is indicated the PT, is not the same parcel as the parcel where the school is. We are talking about parcel number 4401. That is part of the land subdivided. Through the PDP, it will tell you where the school is, and it is marked Martin Luther. Not by me, it is marked Martin Luther. So my work was basically following this question to check the records, and the records I found is that there was no title for Martin Luther School. There was a PDP, and PDP is the one that guides you to the production of the title. Whether I like it or not, I cannot change and extend to a parcel they are occupying, because they could also be encroaching. I mean, let's be open. The fact that the school is using doesn't mean that the land was part of what was marked up this as the school, because a PDP has its own place and boundaries. So what we do is to survey so that we can get the exact land or size occupied or covering the PDP or covered by the PDP. So I haven't changed anything. I found that the land next, part which they are using, has a different title. And that title was not issued yesterday. So I have legitimized nothing by issuing title to the school, because in any case, unsurveyed land means that land can easily be encroached because it has no title. So I think, Honorable Speaker, I've discharged my responsibility towards the school land that is available insofar as the records are concerned. And I said, and therefore I have not legitimized anything. What I have done is to work on the documents. Any other claim by the school can be followed so that we see how the BT and the school seem to claim the same land. And that claim cannot be prejudiced by the work I have done, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. We'll now move to question number 037 by the Senator for Marsabit County, the Honorable Mohammed Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, question A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide details on registration status of plot number or parcel number 570-686, comprising approximately 214 plots along Nyayo Road in Marsabit County? Question B, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why, despite government allotment letters being issued in 2018 and allotment fees paid in the year 2024, a number of beneficiaries are yet to receive their title deeds? Question C, what measures has the ministry put in place to fast-track the issuance of title deeds to the affected beneficiaries, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide timelines for the same? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CSU may proceed to respond.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. The question by the Honorable Senator Mohammed Chute, MP, regarding parcel number 570 to parcel number 686 is true, amounting to 204 titles. Honorable Speaker, I have actually given a written response, 214 parcels approximately, along Nyayo Road in Marsabit County. I think the question is why the status. The status, Honorable Speaker, is that work has been ongoing. it is true allotments were issued sometimes back in 2018. Once allotments are issued, they are issued to different people, and these different people have the responsibility to pay fees as guided under each allotment letter. And it is actually not entirely correct to say that they had fully paid the allotment fees, because it's not like it was paid by one person or from one source. Individually, they are supposed to pay. What we have done, Honorable Speaker, is to now come out through and see those who have not paid and those who are paid, and we have prepared the leases following the allotments issued, and the leases are ready. The documentation of the leases are ready. The ministry received the letters of allotment from Nairobi National Land Commission for purposes of lease processing, a subsequent registration. Upon receipt of the letters of allotment, the Director of Land Administration caused the opening of respective correspondence files. So what I have put below there is a matrix, Honorable Speaker, that shows the plot number, the names of beneficiaries, and I believe the response clearly indicates also the correspondence files opened. We have finished that exercise completely, giving rise to a total of 210 parcels. And the leases documentation has been completed, Honorable Speaker, and I believe that response is self-explanatory. Safe to add that I have also forwarded these documents of leases to the registrar in Isiolo, because Marsabit is being covered from Isiolo. My registrar in Isiolo has all the records, so from there, the owners listed in these parcels would have to find their way to the registrar Isiolo to sign the lease document before the titling can be done. So I suppose, because I'm on a public platform, Honorable Speaker, is to say that all those parcels listed and the names can be made public. We have verified so that the persons involved, and I believe Honorable Senator who has raised this question, can be of help in terms of the necessary information. But the lease will not produce a title until it is executed, signed. They will require their PIN, their ID, and photographs taken by them individually to the registrar in Isiolo. And it means immediately that is done, everybody, each person will get their titles separately. So in terms of the process that is required, the ministry has discharged its duty to that extent, but they will, I will have this file marked in a way that it is possible for people to get expedited process. Asante sana. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Chute, do you have any supplementary question?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, sometimes I don't understand how this government works. If a president goes to a particular place, you will find title deeds ready, prepared, ready to be delivered, even 10,000 title deeds in a single day or 2-3 days. Honorable Speaker, from 2024 to date is over 3 years. And the question is very simple. The story of saying they have to go to Isiolo and to do those things, Isiolo is 2 hours from Marsabit. So the question is very clear. What action has she taken? Because it's 3 years now. They've paid for it. All the documents are ready. What action has she taken? Number two, my question C, Honorable Speaker, is very, very clear. Give us timelines. This CS doesn't want to talk about timelines. You remember even earlier I asked, she is talking about we are going to do it, we are going to do it. Why don't, she's supposed to tell this house, because the people of Marsabit are asking, Yarod are asking, when will it be ready? So the question is very simple. give us timelines. Say the people of Marsabit, Nyayo Road, will get their title deeds in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months. Give us timelines, because I want to tell, I represent people. I want to tell them, yes, your title deeds will be ready on this date. So I'm waiting for the date, timeline. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question to the CS is, do we have a lands registry in Marsabit so that these matters can be addressed, or in Isiolo? And why can't the office there settle these matters instead of bogging the ministry headquarters while we have registries, if we do have registries in that region, and if we don't have, are there plans to establish so that some matters can just be sorted locally?
Senator Mwanda Kataya.
Speaker, Honorable Speaker, one would be interested. Actually, I've just received a concern from the landowners affected by Nithi Bridge. They would want to know the status of identification and the timelines for their compensation from your ministry. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, it's good to ask questions that are related to the primary question. That will allow the Honorable CS to respond effectively. Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond to the questions that have just been asked.
Honorable Speaker, maybe sometimes I do not understand the challenge the Senator Chute has. He is asking me to say timeline. I have said I have discharged the responsibility of preparing the leases. Those leases, you need to understand the difference between lease documents and freehold titles. For freehold titles, where when we do adjudication, for example, it is possible to do thousands and thousands through the National Titling Center for an adjudication center, and it does not require the signature of the individual persons. But preparation of leases is a different process, where once the lease is prepared, I need your photograph, I need the ID, I need the PIN, which is then different process from freehold. For freehold, of course, when we are doing the entire list, which I would sign as a list, it also has IDs. But this one, they must specifically sign the lease for the period that they have been given. And that will require them to personally be present. Possibly it is how then will that be done? That is the question. I said my registrar in Isiolo, where the registry we have is the one that serves Marsabit County. And I am aware it is about 200 maybe kilometers or more from Marsabit. You have said that they will be asking you. Maybe working with you, then we can plan how the registrar can, the information can be given to these people to meet somewhere in Marsabit, maybe, because they also come from maybe around there. Then we can transport our registrar, because some days he also goes to Marsabit. But you see, that does not still remove the obligation for them to personally be present to sign the lease before I can do the certificate of title, which doesn't now require their signature. Once they sign the lease document for us, then we will produce the titles in a day or two, because this is not much. They will be brought to the National Titling, where then we issue. And so the process here is, how do we make them, bring them to sign, either together or individually. If it is individually, then they will have to go to Isiolo, because I don't have a registry in Marsabit. And then, and therefore, do I have plans? What plans do we have? Budget allowing, we plan to have a registry in every, possibly in every 2-3 constituencies, because today we have about 88 registries, and we plan to devolve as much as possible But for now, the registry is serving their AC Sioro. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You asked whether we have plans. I think you didn't, Honorable Speaker. I think I have answered the question.
It's been answered, Senator Mandago. So then we now move to question number 05 by Senator Hamida Kibwana. Now, before you, okay, you proceed, but from the written response by the CS, there's a request that has been made, but you may proceed to ask the question before the Honorable CS makes her request.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions is regarding on the alignment of urban housing development with infrastructure planning and provision in Kenya. Madam Waziri, kindly explain what safeguards exist to ensure that large-scale housing approvals, especially in rapidly growing urban centers, are tied to adequate drainage, sewerage, roads, power supply, schools, health facilities, and other trunk infrastructure. Number two, that's B, what measures has the ministry put in place to ensure that physical planning approvals are not granted in a manner that outspaces service infrastructure provisioning? C, whether the ministry has undertaken an assessment of urban developments approved in the cities of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, and Eldoret, and other fast-growing towns where housing growth has not been matched by supporting infrastructure, and if so, what were the findings? The last, what policy reforms is the ministry considering, including lessons from countries such as Singapore, to ensure mandatory sequencing and financing of trunk infrastructure before or alongside major housing developments? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable CS.
I have requested for more time to look at this question, which is work in progress, but I was not able to remit the answer, the response, because I felt it required more time and consultation, basically because this work, the questions she's raising are questions that I need to consult the COG, Council of Governors, in terms of these specific areas, and the linkage is needed for me to be able to put in a response. And therefore, when I look at it, I require more time, Honorable Speaker. But I have started working on the question, but the answers were not ready. And it is very wide, looking at it. So I seek more time.
Yes, Senator Fernandez.
Thank you, through the Speaker. Waziri, you are a senior lawyer, and under the 4th schedule, the national government is supposed to set standards. So maybe, Speaker, we need your guidance, because the setting of standards, especially on the issues of housing and approval, is done by the ministry. I agree the other part of implementation should console the county governments. But maybe, Chair, Speaker, with your indulgence, can the CS maybe give us the standard practice on how set standards have been done, so that when counties are doing approval of approvals of planning, of fiscal planning, of building and housing, because, Mr. Speaker, you have to appreciate here in Nairobi, everybody is building anything and everything across the city, which is not very tight in terms of even. And you remember on several occasions, there are people who don't see sunlight up to 11 a.m. Others, the sun sets early by by 4 p.m. in the evening, especially in Kilimani and Alingam areas, Lavington areas, which were traditionally residential areas. So I thought the CS should tell us there is zoning that has been done, not political zoning, but zoning that has been done within the cities, industrial, residential. What is the standard? That is my looking at fourth schedule on the functions of national government and county government. Maybe she can just give an hint. I agree, looking at the involved cities and urban centers that are run by counties, maybe you can just give guidance on that. I yield back the mic, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we appreciate the response and the need for the CS to prepare adequately for that question. I would have appreciated if the CS would have touched something on what they are doing with affordable housing, considering that the program is coming out very well, and we want to congratulate the CS. That affordable housing program is one of the very, very successful projects this administration has undertaken. And the issue of now the accompanying infrastructure, Madam CS, like the sewerage, water, and so forth, I think is something I don't know whether you are in a position to touch or you want to come with a comprehensive, because we are seeing the way the houses are coming up, and we are appreciating that there will be requirement of water, sewerage. The issues of roads and other spaces, we are seeing very good work that is going. The only sector that we have not seen it being touched is on the sewerage and water. So I don't know whether there is a program around that so that it can also partially address what Senator Amida Kibwana is asking. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Senator Amida.
Mr. Speaker, mine is just actually, I want to understand also the CS. And I don't mind giving her time, but maybe she should just tell us this time frame that we need to give her so that at least she could respond to the questions. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, before I give guidance on this matter, do you wish to respond to the issues that have been raised, the concerns raised by honorable senators?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think the concerns they have raised and the supplementary questions from Mandago and the Senator Cheragai, I hope I got it correct, is that I require time to go deep into those issues. They are important issues. I don't want to, to just gloss over. And it is important that I need to bring out the question of the standards and guidelines and regulations, because the ministry at our level, we don't do planning for the cities and towns. We do, the planning is by the county governments. And some of the challenges actually the country will be facing, although there is the law guiding planning, is the fact that maybe different counties are applying the law differently, and that's why there is need for standardization, and I want to say that, and there's also need for regulation. The NCA does the regulation also, and of course organizations like institutions like NEMA are part of the national government agencies that assist. Because even before you go to build, then you also require NEMA's approval. All these approvals speak to the standard and guidelines of how the building and development should be undertaken. Of course, any development plan for building, Your Honorable Speaker, I'm just basically like giving a statement, one statement to say that there is always a checklist of what the developer should provide or should give as facilities, and that approval should not be granted until the entire list. And development plans, they have a list of, you must do 1, 2, 3, and those are the ones then guide the people supervising and allowing certificates of occupation finally to be given. But then, of course, generally the bigger question the Honorable Senator Amida wants to be answered is the linkage between the larger infrastructure support for the developments that are coming so quickly against then the existing infrastructure, and that's a big challenge for the country. And obviously, therefore, for us to be able to go to Singapore, we need to holistically look at the infrastructure in every. Previously, I think it worked well, but there is maybe some gaps in terms of implementation of the regulations and guidelines, and therefore, the counties are a big partner in this work. Maybe then, of course, the affordable housing in every county has also to comply with the development plans and the requirements, including approvals, and we have an understanding with the counties on what should be done. And then, therefore, when you then see the National Infrastructure Fund having been passed by Parliament, becoming a critical fund to deal with the gaps in the infrastructure, and that means roads, access roads, street lighting, electricity, water, and sewerage. We still have those, and I'm sure we are all coming from counties. We know it's a big job there to be done, and we need to plan, especially for new cities, we need to plan better. But the law is existing, and where there is gaps, then Parliament, I'm sure, would be of help. So allow me, Honorable Speaker, to come back with this question in a comprehensive manner that will include what we have done as a ministry, what is the law in place, and how are we implementing, who is sleeping on their job, or is there anybody not sleeping on their job or sleeping on their job. I think I will be able to address some of the questions raised. There are four major questions, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Now, pursuant to that request, this question stands deferred to a later date. Honorable CS, you shall receive a communication from the Senate as to when you will come back for purposes of responding to question number 045. Otherwise, thank you for appearing today, and you may leave at your own pleasure. Thank you so much, Honorable CS. Next order.
Order number 8, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 49 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Lenko Olekana, Senator Seki, this order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 9, the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Lelegwe, this order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 10, the Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 54 of 2022, second reading.
The Senate Majority Leader, that order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Energy regarding alleged irregularities in the petroleum product supply chain.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Energy. That order. Senator Mgatana, are you moving order number 11? Okay.
Closing Senator Mgatana.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move order number 11, the report of the Standing Committee on Energy regarding alleged irregularities in the petroleum products supply chain. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to thank the chair of this committee, the Honorable Oburu Oginga, in the way that he has led this committee in coming up with this report. Mr. Speaker, there has been a lot of alleged irregularities in the petroleum products supply chain. Mr. Speaker, complaints have been brought before the committee regarding how petroleum products are not meeting the quality standards that are required. And Mr. Speaker, the Senate Energy Committee embarked on investigations on these matters. Mr. Speaker, after talking and examining various members and various players, which included the big players who supply energy products, petroleum products. We also talked to members who are small players within this area. And Mr. Speaker, many of the people who came before us gave us their version of what has been happening within the petroleum supply chain, within the petroleum supply chain in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we also took time to move to the various areas. In particular, we went to Mombasa, where we had our meetings with the people who operate the oil terminal there. We had a chance to speak with oil marketers. And Mr. Speaker, we also talked to the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. We spoke to the PPRA, Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, and all other relevant regulatory organizations within the oil supply chain. And Mr. Speaker, one of the things that we noticed was that there was an absence of a clear and coordinated communication strategy by the ministry during the fuel supply crisis, which contributed to uncertainty, speculation, and misinformation regarding the status of national fuel stocks, the quality of petroleum products in the country, and the actions being taken by government. Mr. Speaker, we also took note of the fact that various officials within the oil sector were sent away. Some of them resigned. The committee made various recommendations that were tabled in this report. Mr. Speaker, I will just highlight some of the important recommendations. The first recommendation is that on private sector participation, the committee said that all emergency petroleum procurement frameworks should incorporate clear contractual protections for those compliant suppliers. This was because the Ministry of Energy needs to protect those who are doing the right thing. We did not want our oil marketers who are doing the right thing to be sacrificed. And we said that the ministry ought to engage the various important oil marketers so that they can come with clear arrangement in terms of procurements, and also if disputes arise, there could be proper dispute resolution mechanisms so that we can preserve market confidence, we can also maintain supply stability, and also we can maintain fuel availability in Kenya. We said that the ministry should submit comprehensive progress report to the Senate within the 6 months of adoption of this report by the Senate. The second most important recommendation that we made was that the government should prioritize the restructuring, recapitalization, and strengthening of the National Oil Corporation of Kenya, NOC, as the strategic national petroleum entity with a clear mandate to support national energy objectives. Mr. Speaker, we noticed that in the event of supply disruption, oil supply chain disruption, this country does not have strategic reserves that can last us the standard, international standard, like 6 months. And when we inquired from the players, they said that for them, when they import the fuel, they take that fuel and keep it for purposes of sale. So as a committee, we have said clearly that the Kenya government, no matter how expensive this will be, for purposes of national security, we should adopt the standard of making sure that we have enough product within Kenya that can last us at least 6 months. Right now, what we have is not enough, and it is also not owned by the government of Kenya. We have stocks, but it is not owned by the government of Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, we say that in other countries, in case of oil supply chain disruption, they can go on with what they have as strategic reserves and keep the country moving for a long period of time. But in Kenya, because National Oil Corporation does not have that capacity, then the government of Kenya, through the Department of Petroleum, should now work hard to make sure that this happens, so that Kenya now can become secure in this period of time. And we say that the ministry should submit a comprehensive report to the Senate within the first 6 months of the adoption of this report. Mr. Speaker, another important recommendation that the Senate Energy Committee has made is that we must develop through the Petroleum Department, the national government must develop detailed regulations and operational guidelines that will help in the governing of the invocation of Section 9.3 of the Standards Act, which include the criteria for granting waivers, the documentation required, implementation of protocols, monitoring mechanisms, and reporting obligations. This is because, Mr. Speaker, when we had issues around the quality that was being supplied to Kenyans at that time, our investigation or inquiry revealed that the ministry simply, in exercise of its powers, through the minister, they made waivers to the requirements of standards within the quality of petroleum that is supposed to come into the market in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, there were reported instances where people were associating cars that were blowing up with poor quality fuel supply. Mr. Speaker, the Energy Committee was of the opinion and made a very strong recommendation that if a waiver is to be made, there must be some protocols, there must be some regulations around governing that power that the minister has to make the waivers, so that we have a reporting system, so that there's a justification and it does not become a matter of executive fiat, that the minister feels that this quality is okay, and then you ignore what the scientists are telling us with bad consequences coming up. So we expect again that within 6 months after the adoption of this report, the Ministry of Energy will come up with those proposed regulations on the quality of fuel and what we should do if we have to do waivers. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, there were several resignations, finally, that we saw. We saw Mr. Mohammed Liban, former PS, State Department of Petroleum, who left office. Mr. Joe Sang, former Managing Director, Kenya Pipeline. We said that Mr. Daniel Kipto, former Director General of Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Mr. Joseph Wafula, former Deputy Director of Petroleum, and Mr. Joel Mburu, former Supply and Logistics Manager, Kenya Pipeline. We said that the whole administrative, disciplinary, or criminal proceedings, should they happen, must be done following the law, and a report be given to this Senate within 60 days. Mr. Speaker, those were some of the recommendations that we gave regarding the irregularities in the petrol product supply chain that we noticed. And Mr. Speaker, I beg to move this report and ask the Honorable Senator, who was then a member of our committee, the Honorable Madam Beatrice Ogola, to second this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, Senator Mugatana, who is seconding? Does yes.
Say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Okay, thank you, the Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Senator Danson Mangatana, for moving that report. And Honorable Speaker, I rise to second this report. I have been a member of the Energy Committee, and I was part of the discussions of the presentations that have been made by Senator Mungatana. Honorable Speaker, in seconding this motion, I want to say that this has been one of the biggest challenges that Kenyans have faced. That was not occasioned by any of our doing, but the country must know that it was occasioned by a war that was far away from us. But because we live we live in the same space, it was bound to affect our activities, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are many Kenyans and many leaders, who sometimes think otherwise and want to portion blame on the leadership of this country, while the leadership of this country really had nothing to do with what occasioned the pressure we have been dealing with in the energy sector, because that was a global challenge. Honorable Speaker, there was an initial panic in the country and elsewhere because, as all of us know, Honorable Speaker, the place of energy in our lives, that with inadequacy in energy, inadequacy and in less access of petroleum products, then it meant that our lifestyle, or we were going to deal with the rising prices of a number of items. I rise to move to second this motion as a proud Kenyan and a proud member of that community, that the leadership of this country was able to stabilize, to put certain measures to stabilize that sector in this country. Honorable Speaker, as Senator Mungatana has moved, the committee was able to deliberate on a number of issues. We had sitting with the heads of this sector. We had sitting with the CS himself, the Honorable Opio Wandai, with the heads of sections that are there, and the committee itself were concerned about a number of things. But the key concern for the committee was, were Kenyans going to access petroleum products? Because then that would have hit us badly. In our meetings, the CS gave us the confidence that measures had been put in place to ensure that even if Kenyans were going to meet the prices of oil, of petroleum products were going to rise, but the government was putting in place measures that would ensure that there was availability of the products and to ensure that the prices would not rise beyond what we expected. Honorable Speaker, there were even propaganda elsewhere at that point, and it concerned the committee. There are people who wanted to paint a picture that our prices were overall higher in the region. With our discussions and the presentations, Honorable Speaker, and I remember the committee chair, none other than Senator Dr. Buru Odinga, who is also widely traveled, that he made a remark and told us that even where in other countries, neighboring counties, where a number of Kenyans felt the products were cheaper, it was reflected that they were cheaper, but they were not available. So the question is, why would we indicate the cheaper, but you have no access to them? So the good thing that we did not have longer periods where Kenyans did not have these services. Honorable Speaker, there were resignations of sector heads, as has been mentioned by the mover, and we got concerned, Honorable Speaker, but in our deliberations we realized that a number of issues around the resignations were under investigations. And so, as a committee, we did not delve much into that space. The only good thing, Honorable Speaker, is that there was no vacuum. There were office holders, and work was going on. At that point, Honorable Speaker, the committee was more concerned about the stabilization of the sector, which I think overall has been achieved, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, as I second, I also want to mention the issue of the oil reserve that the mover has mentioned, that the committee had candid discussion with the head of that sector, and our main concern and advice on those discussions is that as a country, we must revamp NOC and ensure that NOC is capacitated so that as a country, if we are faced with such challenges, we'll be sure that we have some reserve that can take the country for a period of time, even as the sector works on the challenges that are facing it. Honorable Speaker, I am happy that the country is stable, that Kenyans can access in their petrol stations, they can access the petroleum products. And Honorable Speaker, we also advise the ministry, and I think that has been going on, that one of the things that make our people restless is when people don't have knowledge of what is happening and information. And we were able to discuss with the CS Energy that there's a need to brief Kenyans, to inform Kenyans periodically about the progress so that they know where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going to, and that because that would give Kenyans the confidence and to assure them that the government is in control. And I think, Honorable Speaker, that has been done successfully, and so, Honorable Speaker, I second the motion.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Energy regarding alleged irregularities in the petroleum products supply chain, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 14th July 2026. I now open the floor for any senator wishing to contribute to this motion. Senator Chalagay Samson.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to commend the Committee of Energy led by the ODM party leader and the distinguished Senator of Siaya, Dr. Oburu Oginga Odinga, who he said yesterday has been in this parliament for the last 40 years. And I'm told yesterday he declared that he wants to be President William Ruto's running mate in 2027. Yeye anataka power. And it's good we are discussing power. Power matters. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by thanking the committee led by Senator Mungatana for ably moving and my sister, Senator Ogola. I think I want to agree with the committee. There has been hula baloo about the pricing. We are being told, oh, the prices in Uganda, the prices in Tanzania are much lower than Kenya, yet they don't have a port, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy the committee has dismissed that misnomer, because you have to appreciate that the ceiling strength between Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania, we are the giants of East and Central Africa economically in this region. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, you have to appreciate that Aliko Dangote, one of the biggest billionaires, dollar billionaires in Africa, has decided to set an oil refinery in Lamu in the next few months, Mr. Speaker. And you remember there was a suggestion to move it to Tanga, Tanzania. But Aliko Dangote, because of how economically and politically we are stable as a country, has decided to set up oil refinery here in Lamu, called Dangote in Lamu County, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it shows a lot of confidence in investor, Mr. Speaker, on ensuring that we have enough fuel reserves in the country. And I'm happy that team of setting up bipartisan is being led by none other by the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who has ably chaired and ensured that the process of setting up refinery in Lamu to ensure that we have enough fuel reserves, oil refinery will be chaired by the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this shows that we should have a lot of confidence, Mr. Speaker, so that when we receive, and I want to agree with the committee, the fuel disruption supply across the globe is not the making of the government or the president. It is the making of the fight that is there between United States of America and Iran over their own geopolitics. And you know the Strait of Hormuz has been one of the main, I'm told it's almost 30-40% of fuel supply across the country where that Strait of Hormuz in Iran because of the threats of war. So we must accept that what is happening is way beyond us. You know, it's way beyond us. But I've seen development, and I hope the Minister of Energy is watching, that there is a development that the Oman and the Iran government might work together, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz is open so that the fuel supply across the country, especially East Africa and Africa as a whole, is not big. Mr. Speaker, what only makes me sad, Mr. Speaker, is that we do a lot of oil refinery in Africa, like Nigeria and most of West Africa. Mr. Speaker, yet we have to go and import our oil, which is refined, from Saudi Arabia through Aramco. Mr. Speaker, it's very unfortunate. As Africans, we must believe on ourselves, Mr. Speaker. And I hope the children and your distinguished guests, the students who are here, Mr. Speaker, should believe in Pan-Africanism. Should believe in Pan-Africanism. Because it doesn't make sense that there is oil in Africa, but we go all the way to buy it from Aramco through G2G, government-to-government legal framework of supplying. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the government. I know Senator Ogola has attributed or alluded to that one of the things that assisted the country not to have high price costs of fuel in the country was because of G2G, government-to-government framework that was able to cushion the consumers of this country, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we want to thank the President for having that vision, that foresight of ensuring that we have G2G government. I know many politicians who want just to score political points, including the former chair of budget in the National Assembly and others, and the rudderless and clueless, disunited opposition, have been selling propaganda, Mr. Speaker, that G2G was to benefit individuals. It was not. In fact, G2G cautions Kenyans against the high costs of fuel, be it diesel, be it petrol, be it kerosene, Mr. Speaker, and I know where I come from. When we were growing up, we used to rely on kerosene or paraffin, if you want to see. I know the young ones who are in your public gallery, Mr. Speaker, might not know that those days we used to use paraffin, pressure cook. It was not pressure cooker, pressure lamp. We used to use, there was one we call, Mr. Speaker, where you used to convert the blue band. The blue band you cut, and then you put a string, then you put paraffin inside it, and it was miraculous in the village. In my local language, it was called tamambul. So, Mr. Speaker, in my local language, it was called tamambul. I don't know, but they might, the youngsters at your public gallery might need to visit a museum so that they can understand what we are describing. So we have moved from that to now we have access to electricity, and that is the issue that the kerosene, and I want to thank the government, because most of the Kenyans still rely on usage of kerosene and diesel. Kerosene is still important in households who have not accessed electricity, and I know you, when you are in the Lower House and member of National Assembly, you are really pushing for last mile connectivity in terms of electricity, Mr. Speaker. So we are moving from that. Now we are now moving to diesel. And you know the distinguished Senator Kamari is one of our farmers we are proud of. And she relies heavily on use of diesel. And me as a farmer. So when the price of diesel goes up, it affects even the cost of food production. We need, Mr. Speaker, and I think it's very critical that even as we discuss about the crop failure, especially where I come from, because there has been a prolonged drought, we might have issues of food shortages in the country, and we have been warned that between now and August and September, there might be prolonged drought, especially in semi-arid areas, and rains will begin again in October. So in as much we need a lot of diesel because we use for farm machinery, which, Mr. Speaker, if the cost of diesel, and we thank the President as farmers because the cost of fertilizer, at least, Mr. Speaker, was 2,500. And like when President Uhuru Kenyatta left power, he left it at 7,000 shillings. which we receive what we call, Mr. Speaker, fertilizer subsidy program, which was very important in terms of food production, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of fuel is important, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, when you look at Section 10 of Energy Act number 1 of 2019, the role of Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Mr. Speaker, IPRA, I remember the government directed investigations on the 4th April 2026 when the MD of Kenya Pipeline resigned and the IPRA Director General also resigned. Mr. Speaker, we want to urge the EACC, the DCI, and other investigative agencies to move with speed so that we are told the reason why the MD, the DG, the MD of Kenya Pipeline, the Director General of IPRA, among other senior officials in procurement, resigned, Mr. Speaker, because it is important that the DCI and other investigative agencies ensure that it is 4 months since April up to now that the investigative agencies have not updated the country on what caused most of this high-level resignation, especially in the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, considering when you look at Section 10 and 11 of the Energy Act on the functions of IPRA is very critical, because one of the functions, Mr. Speaker, is ensuring steady supply of fuel, which this committee was investigating. So we need to be told, with the high-level resignation in the energy sector, did it affect the procurement of fuel, Mr. Speaker? Because the work of IPRA, one of the work of the IPRA is to ensure that there is steady supply of fuel in the energy sector that drives the economy, Mr. Speaker. And I want to appeal, and the EACC and DCI, Mr. Speaker, you know, in this country, we don't want to be treated where you find a matter is investigated for 10 years or 5 years. In fact, the EACC Act, and this is to the counties and people who like stealing from public. The EACC Act, Mr. Speaker, we should recommend any corruption case should and must be prosecuted within 24 months. I don't know whether Senator Mungatana, who is one of the senior lawyers and he was in Pan-Africa Parliament in South Africa, we need to agree that any economic crime case, corruption, or any other must and should be prosecuted within 24 months. So that Kenyans don't blame us, Mr. Speaker, so that Kenyans don't see that when somebody is involved in corruption, they can mark time in courts for 10 years before a conviction is secured. Mr. Speaker, we must be honest as a country, Mr. Speaker. And what is the essence of establishing anti-corruption courts in this country if they cannot prosecute and expeditiously some of these corruption cases, Mr. Speaker? Even concerning governors, Mr. Speaker, we are aware of many governors who have been mark timing in courts for the last many years, Mr. Speaker. Even the allegations that were facing your governor, they impeached Kawira Mwangaza, Mr. Speaker. They were corruption cases. We want to appeal that some of these cases should and must be dealt prompt so that Kenyans can have confidence in judiciary and prosecution. Even I want to urge DPP to stop withdrawing or the cases, especially corruption cases, Mr. Speaker. The DPP, we are aware there are many files for many counties who have been involved in corruption. Like Nandi, Mr. Speaker, there was a payroll fraud. Up to today, you are told by EACC and DPP, you are being told active investigation. Active investigation. Case analysis. File has been forwarded. Those are the 3 keywords in prosecution of corruption cases in this country. It is very unfortunate. And you know, DPP, Mr. Speaker, is an independent body. It is not controlled by anybody. Even the EACC, Mr. Speaker, so we should stop gerrymandering, Mr. Speaker, on the issues of integrity. Under Chapter 6 of Leadership and Integrity Act, a chapter, and Mr. Speaker, I'm happy you are a member of the Lower House when you passed the Leadership and Integrity Act, Mr. Speaker, during your tenure in the Lower House. So we must agree that the investigation to the senior officials in the energy sector must be expeditious. Mr. Speaker, I know there is the principle of innocent until proven guilty, which is okay. But we really want to know as Kenyans what really transpired. If we are told that there was the senior managers in the senior energy sector facilitated this disruption of supply chain, Mr. Speaker, then they must be held accountable as per the law. I want to thank the government, Mr. Speaker, because you have to appreciate there was also VAT tax costs. And you know, these are things, Senator Mongatana, the mover of this motion, Kenyans are not being told. That it is this parliament and the recommendation of the president, His Excellency President William Ruto, who is talking about Vision 2060, Mr. Speaker, that requested parliament to lower the value-added tax from 16% to 8% to make sure we stabilize the fuel prices in this country, Mr. Speaker. And there was a stabilization fund. I want to thank the government on the road maintenance levy fund that we contribute, Mr. Speaker. The government was able to give stabilization fund of 28.19 billion to stabilize the price of fuel in this country, which is very critical. Mr. Speaker, I've seen there is a proposal to toll Rironi Mau Summit. And you know that is close to me because I come from that region. Mr. Speaker, you have to appreciate that the road maintenance levy fund that was securitized, that was opposed by legacy and populist politicians, Mr. Speaker, including somebody who came and insulted you in your backyard, is the money that is securitized to build road from Wajir, Mogadashe, Kulamawe, Isiolo to Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. It's the same to Rironi Mau Summit, but I want to appeal. I can see at least the three of us come from that region. We should not toll that road, Mr. Speaker. That is the road that covers, and I can see a number of your clerks also come from that region. Why are we tolling that road? And we are not tolling Thika Superhighway. We are not tolling Mau Mau roads. We will resist, Mr. Speaker, and reject. Yes, we say no to any intention to toll Mau Sami Rironi. Mr. Speaker, since we are paid fuel through road maintenance levy fund, that should be enough. Or you remove road maintenance levy fund and toll us. We cannot have second-class citizens in this country. That the people who go to Western, Rironi Mau Summit are told. But the people who go to Mau Mau and Mount Kenya East or West, if you want to define Mount Kenya West or West, it is the business of your region. We don't want to know. But what we are saying, you cannot toll us. We are not children of a lesser God, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we are totally against tolling because it will subject us to double taxation. And I want to say as a representative of the people of Nandi, Mr. Speaker, we will not pay to come to Nairobi through the road, yet we pay taxes in the fuel. So I want to appeal on behalf of many people who I'm speaking to, that the Ministry of Roads and Transport should abandon that idea. It is a stillbirth. You know, Mr. Speaker, women understand this. When you are not able to give birth, it is called stillbirth. So I want to advise that they should avoid that route. Because I know people from Bomet can decide to use Ngong Suswa all the way to Narok. They might not be told. But us who come from that region, Mr. Speaker, we are against. We are against, Mr. Speaker. And we are against. We want to tell the Ministry of Roads and Transport, please, abandon that idea. It is not, it is a wrong idea. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of fuel quality, I want to thank the committee. I know there was intention of lowering fuel quality for 6 months, which started on 30th April, Mr. Speaker, 2026. Mr. Speaker, 30th April, 6 months. I hope the committee will be able. Mr. Speaker, my worry is it has been reduced. One, it will be dangerous to environmental impact. Mr. Speaker, if the quality of fuel. Number two, Mr. Speaker, you know, people drive SUVs, special utility vehicles. Mr. Speaker, if you imagine, if you get low fuel quality and you are driving a V8 or Lexus 600, you know, if it destroys your engine, you might need another 10 million to repair the car. So we must, this low fuel quality. For us who drive Toyota Prado 120, there is no problem. We'll go to Kirinyaga Road or Kawangware and get the Otieno. Mr. Speaker, I will fix it with us for 2,000 shillings, 3,000. My worry is on the 1% who are dollar billionaires in this country. They might suffer. For us, you just go to Kirinyaga Road or Krogon, Mr. Speaker, or Kawangware, get somebody up or Fuller to fix for you, and you are home and dry, Mr. Speaker. So this issue of fuel quality is dangerous for our vehicles. Mr. Speaker, we must be very keen because we don't want to create. Number two is on the issue of fuel impact, which will not, and I want to appeal to the committee, Mr. Speaker, that we ensure that the issue of fuel quality must be addressed. And Mr. Speaker, it goes back to IPRA and the Competition Authority of Kenya and COFEC. These are agencies that ensure that consumers are protected. And I don't know, Senator Mungatana, the mover of the motion, what is the role of Competition Authority of Kenya? They are supposed to protect consumers. Kenya Bureau of Standards, they are supposed to protect us. They are not just there for the sake of their. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the issue that I really wanted, the fuel quality. We must agree so that we don't destroy our vehicles, our environment, and also not good for doing business. Finally, Mr. Speaker, which I had alluded as I conclude on this very critical report, is we want to say we welcome Dangote to set this lamb. And I want to agree. The only way, Mr. Speaker, and I had Senator Ogola and Senator Mungatana alluding to the fact that we need fuel reserves so that if there are global shocks of the magnitude of closure of Strait of Hormuz, what we are seeing in Iran and America and the Oman and the negotiations within the Middle East, Mr. Speaker, importing our oil to be refined elsewhere and then bring it back. If we allow Dangote, Mr. Speaker, to set up our, we will ensure there is steady fuel reserve, Mr. Speaker. And finally, this shows also the confidence of the business community in President William Ruto's government, Mr. Speaker. And I think that is very critical, that all investors are welcome. You remember somebody said tourism should not come, Mr. Speaker, which was very unfortunate. We must, Mr. Speaker, allow and show that we have investor confidence in this republic going into the future. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks and to allow my colleagues to make a comment, I beg to support this report and wish the Energy Committee all the best as they reconstitute. And all who left, including Senator Ogola, we wish you well in other committees. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, Senator Chalgei, besides representing the Nguni people of Nandi County, can you also try to familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions of the contract that is handling the Loni Mau Summit Road, so that now you can be able to maybe argue in confidence after looking at the terms and conditions, so that the Minister of Roads does not say they are the ones now putting the toll station, if that is the formula that has built the road. So maybe next time we'll be able to update me on the terms. Therefore, Senators, I have a communication to make on a benchmarking visit by members of the Task Force of Translation of Standing Orders to Kiswahili from the County Assembly of Kilifi. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this morning of a visiting delegation of members of the task force. Honorable Senator, do you know the rules of this game of the Senate? You can just freeze wherever you are. I will pardon you because you are just months old in the Senate. So members of these are members of the task force on translation of standing orders to Kiswahili from the County Assembly of Kilifi. The delegation is on a benchmarking engagement on best practices at the Senate. I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that you may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. 1, Mr. John Kubada, Director Hansand and Audio Service, end of delegation. Ms. Sally Kalzo, Chief Hansand Reporter. Mr. Omar Chupi, Chief Sergeant at Arms. Mr. Harlon Disipa, Sergeant at Arms 2. Mr. Justin Kalabu, Senior Research Officer. Mr. Lene Mzungu, Research Officer 2. Mr. Elik Ribendi, Second Class assistant. Mr. Kachezi Mwalili, second clerk assistant. Mr. Keith Kisao, ICT officer. Mr. Hia Toya, ICT officer. Mr. Rashid Mbeto, principal legal counsel. Ms. Rinda Nyamwata, legal counsel. Ms. Damali Safari, public relations officer. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to you and wish you a fruitful visit. I thank you. Seneta Mgatana, kwa lugha safi ya Kiswahili kutoka Tana River, basi wakaribishe wageni hawa majirani wako kutoka Kilifi County.
Asante Bwana Spika. Kwa niaba ya Spika nataka kusema wageni wetu kutoka kaunti yetu ya Kilifi tunawakaribisha hapa bungeni kwetu Senate. Tunawatakia nafasi nzuri kujifundisha mambo yote ambayo mmeyafuata hapa. Sisi tunafurahia sana wakati counties ama mabunge wa magatuzi wanakuja hapa Senate kujifundisha mambo kadha wa kadha. Sisi tunafurahia kwa sababu mapenzi yetu ni kwamba mabunge yetu 47 yanaweza kufanya kazi sawasawa na vile bunge la Senate linafanya kazi. Pia tunataka sana kuona uhusiano wetu kati ya mabunge ya gatuzi na bunge la Senate uzidi kuimarika, na unaimarika ikiwa muda kwa muda tunazungumza, tunafundishana, tunarekebishana ili mabunge yetu yaweze kufanya kazi vizuri. Kwa hayo mengi tunawakaribisha hapa kwetu bungeni Senate. Karibuni sana na tunawaombea wakati mwema wakati mtakuwa hapa kujifunza. Asante Bwana Speaker. Thank you.
Asante. Na kwa niaba ya seneta wa Kilifi ambayo ni mkubwa walio wachache, kiongozi wa wachache katika Senate, na kwa niaba ya mkubwa yangu Speaker wa Senate, na mimi pia nachukua fursa hii kuwakaribisha. Next, Senator Kamar, Professor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to join my colleagues in supporting the report from the Committee of Energy. And I want to support the adoption of this report because of the details that have been brought before us. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the committee for going even beyond the mandate they were given to give us forward-looking recommendations. Mr. Speaker, as was mentioned by Senator Gerard Gay, I am a farmer, and one of those farmers that really suffered during this season when the diesel price was affected without notice. Mr. Speaker, farmers suffered, notwithstanding the fact that the climate was not very good for farming this year, so they had a double tragedy, that the climate was not good, the diesel price just moved very abruptly, and most farmers were not able to do all the operations that we normally do. So we are actually in danger this year, in danger of food insecurity. And worse still, the farmers are the victims of a lot of things this year, because the inputs they put in earlier may be higher than what they will get out of the crop. So I looked at the recommendations and I told myself, if these recommendations are implemented the way the committee have articulated, the future will be better in the petroleum sector. Mr. Speaker, one of the key recommendations the committee have given are on the emergency petroleum procurement. And even as we talk of the emergency procurement, we need to ask ourselves, are we able to predict everything? We know that when we are not able to predict the Hormuz factors and the wars that came in, it is very good to be planning ahead of time. Because one of the things that happened this time is that there was no emergency reserve. So the price just changed because there was no reserve, there was nothing. So the minute we are told the price changes tonight because there is no fuel, there was nowhere to cry to because there was, in fact, almost none at that time. Mr. Speaker, I like one of the strategies on Article 6, the strategic petroleum reserves and national energy security. This one we must establish. We must have a reserve, just the way we have strategic reserves of the food itself for food security. It is very important that we protect our farmers from what they suffered this year because of this. It is good for the government to prioritize actually having reserves that can give us a period, a lead period for a month, at least a month, so that farmers can organize themselves and so that they can even rescue the crops that are on the ground. This time, they were not even able to rescue because things just moved. So I laud the committee for these recommendations that the government must prioritize the restructuring, recapitalization, and strengthening of the National Oil Corporation of Kenya, NOC. If NOC was as operational as it should be, we would not have gone through that. If we had strategic reserves in this country, we would have had less impact than we had in this time. So my plea is that this report has given timelines. This report is asking the ministry to deal with issues on a timely basis. We have items that are on 6 months, a lot of them are on 6 months, and we hope that the ministry will actually adhere to this. Mr. Speaker, we need sometimes to ask ourselves how we monitor implementation of very good reports like this one that came from Energy. How do we monitor so that we ensure that the relevant ministry actually adheres to that? Although we do not have an implementation committee, and we all agreed that the relevant committee must implement, we hope that this committee will demand, as soon as 6 months is over, for reports. And in most cases, when we demand for these reports, bring the minister right here. Let the CS come and answer to the House. Even if it is something that is coming from the committee should demand that the report be tabled by the CS in the House so that we are able to monitor the progress of the decisions that we have done. So this report has very good recommendations. Recommendations that are futuristic. Recommendations that will change the way we do things in the energy sector. But if we don't implement them, it will be life as usual. We cannot accept that, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the committee because they really combed very nicely. Thank you, Chair of the committee and members of the committee. You actually looked at this sector properly and have given us tangible recommendations. Let us support this report and let us push for the ministry, relevant ministry, to actually implement. I want to support also the arrival of Dangote refineries in Kenya. As a member of the delegation of the Pan-African Parliament, We have been talking about free movement of goods and free movement of persons. We have been talking of AFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area, and we are not really seeing tangible movements of goods or investments. We thank God for one African who has decided he's going to invest in the whole continent. And we really pray that the government can facilitate him fully so that we have a refinery that is continentally owned, a refinery that is owned by an African, a refinery that might even deal with the recommendations we are talking about. Because our emergency fuel doesn't have to be in the pipeline. It doesn't have to be in the petrol stations. It can be in the refineries. But most of the refineries that may not be continental may be looking for their money, and they might not even accept to have reserves for us. It will be possible to negotiate with a refinery like this. So we welcome the arrival of Dangote in Kenya, and we pray that they can actually be able to go beyond their usual call of duty to make sure that we stabilize fuel prices and fuel delivery in the continent. So for that, I really support them. It's also our hope that very soon our oil from Turkana County can be refined, can be extracted and refined within the country. Because some of the problems that we are faced, especially in the season that we are talking about, is because of wars that are kilometers and kilometers away from us. And you ask yourself, how can we be depending on nations that are far from us? It is time that we actually go into collaboration. We know Uganda is already drilling, Kenya should be drilling, and if we can have investors that are continental, we'll be able to move. This is the whole reason why we are talking of the African Free Trade Area. Let us see how we can support one another as a continent. Those who have oil, let's see how we can have a pipeline. That takes me to the issue of infrastructure across the continent. Because Nigeria is refining, but we don't have pipelines that are crossing the continent. We need to allow pipelines to flow freely so that even if we are saying the crude oil can be refined in Nairobi, in Mombasa, we should be able to have pipelines that will go to Rwanda, will go to Burundi, and will go to even Congo from a refinery in Mombasa. Infrastructure in this continent is very essential for us to have the free trade area implemented. So, Mr. Speaker, I support, I thank the committee, and my main point is let us monitor the implementation by the relevant ministry. Let's not allow these very good recommendations to remain in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks, I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. My dashboard and no other member wishing to contribute, but I can see Senator Kolil has just pressed the request button. After that, this is an afterthought. Senator Kolil Joyce.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Sometimes these gadgets gives us a lot of problems in terms of admitting us, but I thank you for getting that opportunity to have a look at it. Being a commissioner doesn't mean you are an implementer. There are those who implement. Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to thank the Committee on Energy for a wonderful report that I've given to this House. I know a number of issues has been raised by the honorable colleagues, bearing in mind, Honorable Speaker, that without petrol or proper handling of petrol, it leads to a lot of shortcomings and a lot of destructions in the country. Honorable Speaker, I know at some point there was an acute shortage of petroleum, which forced a number of dealers to shoot the prices, hampering a number of businesses and even the farming in this country, Honorable Speaker. And I want to say that, Honorable Speaker, that if we are going to address these irregularities by deploying the real-time digital tracking of these petroleum, Honorable Speaker, at least we are going to be able to address a number of issues that are affecting the sector, Honorable Speaker. There is also the issues of the reforming the import and procurement frameworks, which I want to believe, Honorable Speaker. I've always said that procurement is something that has been giving us a lot of challenges because of the malpractices that are involved. Bearing in mind, Honorable Speaker, that this is the only way that we are going to get the competitive suppliers and Honorable Speaker, we can be able to address a number of issues that are affecting us, Honorable Speaker. I also want to talk about the issue of strengthening the regulatory oversight and testing, which I want to believe they are the ones also who are supposed to ascertain whether the petrol that is being supplied is up to the standard or not, Honorable Speaker. So I want to thank the committee because if they are going to push for the implementation of this report, I know these issues are going to be addressed. Honorable Speaker, there is also the issue of imposing the strict penalties for those who are doing the multi-practices, Honorable Speaker. If this is going to be taken seriously, if they will impose this, I know we will reduce a number of cartels who are taking advantage of sneaking in substandard petrol to the country, Honorable Speaker, and even the shortcuts that they are using in terms of maybe getting these contracts, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say much, but I just want to thank the committee and support. Thank you.
Now, since there are no other senators willing to contribute, I call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Beatrice Ogola for seconding the motion. I want to thank Honorable Gerard Gay, Honorable Professor Kamar, Honorable Korir for seconding this motion, for contributing to this motion. Mr. Speaker, as the members were speaking, one of the most important underlying points that was made was that the committee, the Senate Energy Committee, should make follow-up on implementation of the resolutions and the recommendations that this House will adopt. And Mr. Speaker, what I was doing online here is to put it on our page that we should mark the days so that Secretariat will make a point to invite the different organizations against whom recommendations have been made to come and give us progress reports. Mr. Speaker, some of the recommendations are very heavy, including the recommendations that we should have strategic reserves in this country for purposes of making sure there is security of supply of oil products in the country. So, Mr. Speaker, we will do that. I have listened carefully to what the colleagues have said on the plenary of this House. We will share it even in the next sitting of the Energy Committee. I want to thank them again for their very valuable contributions. Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. And Mr. Speaker, I wanted to make an application that for purposes of putting the question to be answered, pursuant to Standing Order 66, Sub Rule 3, we request that be deferred. Mr. Speaker, so we request that you defer the putting of the question. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Mungatana. And pursuant to Standing Order 66.3, putting of the question is hereby deferred to the next sitting of the House. Clerk, call the next order, please.
Order number 12, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its inquiry regarding the handing over of a cooking gas handling facility in Mombasa County to a private firm.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its inquiry regarding the handing over of a cooking gas facility in Mombasa County to a private firm laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 14th July 2026. Mr. Speaker, the Senate Energy Committee sat on the 3rd of June 2025, and they discussed the statement that was sought by the Honorable Okia Omtata regarding the handing over of a cooking gas facility to a private facility. And Mr. Speaker, we agreed that we will go to Mombasa and look at the premises of Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited so that we can find out from all the players whether in fact there was breach of any law regarding the handing over of that facility so that liquefied petroleum gas could be produced in Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, we engaged the stakeholders. We talked with the Ministry of Energy, we talked with the Treasury, we talked with Kenya Pipeline Company and Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited. We did this through interviews and submissions, and then we went to Mombasa under the leadership of our chair, Dr. Oburu Oginga, so that we can see whether in fact we were going, the people or the Republic of Kenya was going to lose anything if the site was handed over to the company. So we went there, Mr. Speaker, and saw that the 23.19 acre parcel of land that was given to Asharami Synergy Limited, the whole process was correct. Mr. Speaker, it was not going to interfere with the land that houses the Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited, because the area where that LPG, liquefied petroleum gas facility, was supposed to be set up was an area that is not useful for any other work. And it was a small part of the entire land that belongs to Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited. We also found out that the application of the Specially Permitted Procurement Procedure, SPPP, to select Asharami Synergy Limited was conducted in full compliance with Section 114A, subsection 2, subsection F of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. So, Mr. Speaker, the approvals from all the multi-agencies, including the National Treasury, the Office of the Attorney General, the National Lands Commissions, they were all obtained in accordance with the law. Mr. Speaker, when we went there to conclude we found out that if that facility is set up, it will keep on track the government target to achieve increasing per capita LPG consumption from 7.5 kg to 15 kg by 2028. Mr. Speaker, the other thing we were informed is that once this facility is set up and then the lease is expired, once the production is done over a period of time, the arrangement was that all the infrastructure that has been put up there will be surrendered back to the government. So, Mr. Speaker, the nation stands to lose nothing from the way we looked at it. And we thought that we are fighting towards increasing consumption of clean energy in Kenya. If this Asharami came and started to produce, it would help in boosting the supplies, it would increase the market players, therefore cooking gas prices might come down, which is our expectation. And Mr. Speaker, may I say that our hope at that time, which was a few months ago, has actually materialized, because we are informed reliably that in fact that construction has been done, and in fact liquefied gas production is going to take place very soon. So our report, therefore, Mr. Speaker, recommends that there is nothing inappropriate that was there in the appointment of Asharami Synergy Limited to start production of liquefied petroleum gas at Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited land in Mombasa. We also know that there will be employment created there, and the only thing the recommendation said is that the administrative processes required for the development of the allocation should be finalized as soon as possible, and we believe it has, because we have reliably been informed that the processes are completed and they are about to start production. So, Mr. Speaker, we would only insist that all the technical plans and everything that needed to be done in accordance with the recommendations of this report, they should be given and submitted to the committee within 45 days of the adoption of this report. Mr. Speaker, I also want to point out that once we adopt this report, just like the other report, we are going to make sure that the same government agencies that we had engaged, we are going to call them so that we can ensure that actual compliance with the recommendation of the Senate is being carried. But for now, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that we adopt that report and call upon Honorable Cherargei to second this motion. I thank you.
Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, as I beg to second, this is a straightforward matter. What I'm happy that the committee has done is to ensure that the handing over of cooking gas handling to a private firm was within the law. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, under Article 10 on national values and principles of good governance, the rule of law is one of the ingredients of any process. And I think, Mr. Speaker, looking at Chapter 13 on principles of public finance, one of the issues is to ensure transparent and accountable processes. And therefore, looking at the request by the distinguished senator of Okia Omutata, I think he calls himself senator from Busia, and this Sharawe group, Asharami Synergy, which is a subsidiary of Sahara Group in Nigeria, is, Mr. Speaker, follow the law of procurement, and government stands nothing to lose. In fact, This shows investor confidence that we were discussing earlier in the country. We want to encourage investors to establish in this country. We want to ensure that any procurement is above board. Mr. Speaker, with the e-procurement in place, all sectors were followed, Mr. Speaker. I think as a country we should encourage investors. We should be like Rwanda to ensure we don't put unnecessary bottlenecks. We should not politicize investment in this country, Mr. Speaker. Allow, and I think, Mr. Speaker, one of the important, as I conclude, is this public land. The procedure of leasing was followed by Asharami Synergy, Mr. Speaker. The also creation of employment. We know Mombasa and Coast is struggling to access off employment. You remember Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, has 60% of GDP, and every Kenyan would want to come to Nairobi. But how do we ensure there is access of opportunities across the country? By encouraging investors to invest across the country. I think you know, even in your county, I think the Tenwek Hospital, you have to give it through the AGC Church, African Gospel Church, led by Dr. Langat, the Bishop, and I know you are people from your region, majority belong to AGC. Those you have to give it to the investment that has happened in that region. So we must encourage investors and call out politicians who want to politicize, Mr. Speaker. I remember the former impeached deputy president wanted to politicize the issue of tourism, Mr. Speaker. And we say, shindwe katika jina la Yesu. Because the tourism sector, Mr. Speaker, I was watching the president of Tanzania, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, Mr. Speaker, speaking about the importance of tourism and why Tanzania is earning a lot. Then an impeach somebody who is visionless, who is agendaless, who does not have a focus, wants to create what we call rumor mongering, village rumor mongering, and scaring away tourists. Yet this country is strategic for tourism. We want to increase. Mr. Speaker, you saw there were 7 million plus tourists in this country. Over 60% come from Kenya. We want to increase to 3-4 million foreign tourists that we have in this country. And therefore, that one was in bad faith. I was shocked even, Mr. Speaker, he later came and supported the Batuk British and said when they move out of, is it like even Anyuki, he retreated. And he was calling them strange names, Mr. Speaker. You know, he was calling them funny, but when he realized he retreated his statement and said he is the one who intervened. And he had made unsubstantiated allegations that there was a demand of $1 billion plus in bribe to allow the Batuk to still train in Kenya. But I want to thank the Committee of National Security in the National Assembly for insisting that even if these soldiers have to train in Kenya, they must follow the local laws. Because we have lost lives in that region. We have seen women being raped, Mr. Speaker. We have seen children being born, and no one is taking care of them, Mr. Speaker, by soldiers. There is no problem to procreate. God gave us opportunity to come to this world and fill them and give birth and procreate. We are not objecting that the British should not procreate with the Kenyan women. They should, but they should follow the law. If you get a child, you must take care of that child. And I want to appeal to CS Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi to ensure we have a framework that when somebody gives, procreates, or the child is given by a British soldier, we follow them, and they must pay for the child upkeep. I think that is what is important. You know, our women are not procreating machines where you just come, you sleep with them, they give birth, and then you run out. We want to deal with deadbeat fathers, both internationally and locally, so that we can move on as a country. Mr. Speaker, I think with those many remarks, I want to thank the committee and support this report. Let us allow Asharami Synergy to set up their project, their plan there. Let us get cheap cooking cars so that women also do not need to suffer with the, Mr. Speaker, when we are growing up, in conclusion, you know, when we used to go for lunch at this hour from Cheptarit Primary School somewhere in Mosori at Nandi, I used to get my mother, I could not see my mother in the kitchen because there is too much smoke in use of firewood, Mr. Speaker, and our mother suffered. If our mothers greet you, you think they are sandpaper, Mr. Speaker, because they are struggling, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, because we want to move with other issues. We want women to have a clean cooking gas. And the only way is to encourage more gas plants so that our women do not suffer with smoke. Apart from suffering physically, they suffer also lungs, Mr. Speaker. The food quality is not very good because it's not well cooked. And Mr. Speaker, we want everybody to eat well in this country. With those many remarks, I beg to second this report of the Energy Committee.
Honorable Senators, I now wish to propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its inquiry regarding the handing over of a cooking gas handling facility in Mombasa County to a private firm laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 14th of July, 2026. Now, members, this motion is available for contributions by members, and I will invite Senator Joyce Korir. I can see you have made a request on my dashboard, so you may go first on your contributions to the motion. Senator Joyce.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to thank the committee on this report. It's still the Committee on Energy on the inquiry regarding the handing over of a cooking gas handling facility in Mombasa County. Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that, Honorable Speaker, I think one of the things that we embrace as a government is giving room to investors to invest in this country so that at the end of the day, we can also be able to get opportunities for our youths, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you remember one of the blueprints pillars, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of innovation and industrialization, Honorable Speaker. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that being a mother, Honorable Speaker, I know the consequences of using the firewood and using the cars. And Honorable Speaker, this private investor, Honorable Speaker, who has seen the need to install the cars, the cooking cars in Mombasa, Honorable Speaker, should be given room, Honorable Speaker. It's only the duty of the government and the county government to make sure that they have the requisite documentation, they follow the procedures in terms of acquisition, they also use the right chemicals in terms of producing the said cars, so that at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we also avoid harming the lives of the Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, without far much ado, I want to support the report. Thank you.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this motion on clean energy, on provision of cooking gas. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first let me say that the government of Kenya today, led by President William Ruto, is the most transformative administration we've seen, Honorable Speaker, in terms of the welfare of citizens in matters health and provision of clean energy. Honorable Speaker, for those who have not suffered the consequences of our mothers cooking with firewood, in some places cooking with dry cow dung, cooking with charcoal, Honorable Speaker, they may not understand the seriousness of this matter. In fact, a majority of our mothers, any mother in rural Kenya, aged 70 years and above, are actually suffering an ailment that affects the heart, that affects the respiratory, because of the many years of exposure to smoke, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, it's only reasonable for the government of Kenya to provide an enabling environment for investors who can invest in cooking gas that is going to provide clean energy for our mothers, for our wives, for our daughters, Honorable Speaker, not just to be able to cook using clean energy, but also, Honorable Speaker, as a means of prevention of heart diseases that our mothers have suffered from for many years. Honorable Speaker, I therefore support the investment by the private investor in establishing a cooking gas plant in the coastal part of this nation, Honorable Speaker. And we therefore want to ask the county governments in that region to support this investor, to mobilize the residents, to do proper sensitization so that this project can take off within the shortest time without any hitches, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, besides the provision of clean cooking energy, there is opportunity for Kenyans to get employment. We all appreciate that one of the biggest pressure that we have as a nation now is how to create employment for many young people. This is an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, that will provide employment for a number of young people in the country, Honorable Speaker, and therefore we support this investment, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, finally let me say that as leaders in this nation, elected or not elected, or formally elected, impeached or not impeached, Honorable Speaker, we should be responsible in our statements, particularly on what would greatly affect our economy, affect our livelihoods, Honorable Speaker, so that in the work of politics, we don't make reckless statements that puts the investment environment of this nation into jeopardy. I therefore want to support this motion and say the Energy Committee of the Senate has done a fantastic job in clearing and supporting this investment. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, there is no other member who is queuing to support or contribute to this motion, and I will therefore call upon the mover, Senator Mungatana, to reply.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable General Gay for seconding this motion. I want to thank the Honorable Senator Korir for supporting this motion. I want to thank the Honorable Senator Mandago for supporting this motion. Mr. Speaker, the provision of adequate LPG gas, as we said, is a practical thing. And it has been demonstrated through the submissions on the floor of this House that allowing the private player to come into Kenya so that they can increase the provision of liquefied petroleum gas is not a statistic, is not a joke, it's a reality. Our mothers have suffered through the smoke, through cooking with charcoal, through cooking with firewood, through cooking with dried cow dung. And now we are moving into a new era where the new mothers are going to be having clean cooking gas because of the decisions that we made under the administration of Dr. William Ruto in this administration. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleagues for supporting and emphasizing the need for us to make follow-up on the recommendations. And Mr. Speaker, what I have done is to post on our page as the Energy Committee that the Secretariat must keep track on the timings, on the months, because after 6 months, we would like to see implementation reports on the decisions and the recommendations that this Senate has made through the Energy Committee. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. And Mr. Speaker, I want to make an application that pursuant to Standing Order 63, Sub-Rule 3, that the putting of the question be deferred to another day. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Mugatana. Putting of the question to the motion is hereby deferred to the next sitting of the House. pursuant to Standing Order 63. Now, honorable members, I will rearrange the order for purposes of convenience of the House and to transact business in order number 9. Clerk, call out order number 9.
Order number 9, the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Dr. Lelengwe, you may proceed to move the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of the Standing Orders 1461, I rise to move that the Livestock Production and Sustainability Bill 2024, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, sir, this bill seeks to address critical vulnerabilities in Kenya's livestock sector, particularly in the face of recurring droughts and climate-induced challenges. Mr. Speaker, sir, devolution, as enshrined in our Constitution, has empowered counties to manage agriculture, including livestock. Mr. Speaker, sir, under Part 2 of the 4th Schedule, yet the sector remains exposed. Arid and semi-arid lands covering approximately 80% of Kenyan landmass and home to about 36 to 38% of population holds over 70% of the national livestock, but suffer a brunt of environmental shocks. Mr. Speaker, sir, regions supports the livelihoods of millions of pastoralists for whom livestock is both economic assets and cultural heritage. Mr. Speaker, sir, the livestock sector contributes approximately 12% to the national GDP and employs about 50% of agricultural workforce, that is according to Kenya National Bureau of Standards and IRRIL data. It directly sustains over 10 million people. However, recurrent droughts, fodder and water shortages, disease outbreaks, and market vulnerabilities continue to threaten foundations of this sector. Honorable Speaker, 2020-2023 drought, I think you remember, the worst in the Kenyan history over 40 years. According to the National Drought Management Authority, claimed over 2.6 million livestock, triggered acute food insecurity for millions, and inflicted massive economic losses in the country. Climate Models Project marked a rise in drought frequency and severity by 2050. The Sahel region's temperatures rise is projected to rise up by 1.7 to 3.5 degrees centigrade, risking significant declines in livestock productivity without urgent intervention. The bill therefore seeks to rectify these gaps by providing a clear, clause-by-clause legal framework for protection, sustainability, and resilience in this sector. Honorable Speaker, sir, specifically in Part 2 of the bill, that is clause 4 to 5, clause 3 to 4, clearly delineates the complementary roles of the national and county government. Clause 3 mandates the Cabinet Secretary to formulate national policies on livestock management, disaster mitigation, and feed reserve strategies to establish the National Livestock Feeds Reserve. To collaborate with the counties on standards for pasture and water management, and to provide technical assistance. Specifically, Clause 4 in turn requires each county executive committee member responsible for livestock to develop, implement protection strategies aligned with national policy, promote sustainable farming practices, monitor feed risk, and establish county-level strategy. Reserves maintain a data management systems, collaborate with stakeholders to facilitate water access and insurance risk farmers to markets, enforce standards established for the banks, conduct capacity building, and work with the national government on emergency measures. These provisions end the previous silo approach and create seamless national and county coordination. Honorable Speaker, Part 3 of this bill, that is Clause 5 to 7, introduces the core protection and sustainability measures. Clause 5 requires the Cabinet Secretary to consult with the Council of Governors to develop and maintain feed risk data management systems that collect data from multiple sources, maintains a secure centralized database, uses advanced analytics to access risk and shortages, generates regular reports, and disseminates timely information to stakeholders. And Clause 6 establishes the National Livestock Feed Reserve, consisting of physical stock, held through warehouse receipts, and it is cash equivalent, whose objectives are to provide emergency feed during drought, mitigate price vulnerability, promote efficiency resource use, and encourage storage during periods of oversupply. The Cabinet Secretary may declare specific feeds as reserve commodities by a Gazette notice. Honorable Speaker, Clause 7 obligates every county to prepare a comprehensive drought resilience plan covering vulnerability assessments, historical patterns, climate trends, potential impacts, resilience strategies, implement roles, resources mobilization, and a monitoring and evaluation framework. The bill further requires each county to establish at least 0.5% of its annual budget to this plan, taking into account its financial capacity, drought severity, projections, economic dependence on livestock, and community input. At the end of each financial year, Mr. Speaker, sir, the county will then require to report progress to the county assembly for their approval. These clauses transform reactive crisis response into proactive data-driven resilience. Honorable Speaker, sir, Part 4 of the bill, that is Clause 8 to 10, creates the financial backbone through which the County Livestock Enterprise Development Fund. Clause 8 requires counties where livestock significantly contribute to the local economy, determines by criteria to be developed by the Cabinet Secretary in consultation with the Council of Governors, and redefined locally to establish the fund via county legislation. The fund will receive appropriations, income from its operations, and investments, and grants or donations. Honorable Speaker, Clause 9 sets out its purposes, establish and management of strategic feed reserves, grant for emergency reserves, loan for restocking after drought losses, loans to medium and small livestock enterprises, credit facilities for micro enterprises in pastoral areas, and other purposes prescribed in the county law. Clause 10 requires the criteria for identifying eligible counties, standardized nationally yet adaptable locally and approved by the respective county assembly. This fund directly empowers small-scale farmers and pastoralists with emergency support and recovery capital. Mr. Speaker, Clause 5, that is Part 5 of the bill, that is Clause 5, empowers the Cabinet Secretary to consult with the Council of Governors to make regulations for the effective implementation of this Act, including the detailed management and distribution of the National Livestock Feeds Reserve. Honorable Speaker, this bill seeks to deliver tangible benefits. The data systems and reserves will enable early targeted interventions. The county plans and 0.5% budget ring fence will institutionalize preparedness. The fund will provide immediate liquidity for restocking and enterprise growth with market linkages. Clause 4, particularly 4H, will establish incomes. The framework aligns with the Article 43 of the Constitution, right to food security, and Article 174, devolution objectives, promotes equity for women, youth, and persons with disabilities who form a large part of pastoral labor, and optimizes public resources by shifting from expensive emergency aid to prevention. The consequences of enacting this bill are further enriching and positive. It seeks to enhance transparency through data systems and fund oversight, establish the livestock value chain, reduces poverty, creates jobs, and build long-term resilience against climate change. Comparable models, Mr. Speaker, sir, Ethiopia's Productive Safety Net program, 40% reduction in drought losses. Australia's national drought policy that has led to strategic reserve and risk data, and the South Africa's livestock improvement scheme, intergovernmental funding demonstrate that such frameworks work. Kenya can achieve the same outcomes. While some may raise concerns about the county budgets or market disruptions, the bill addresses them through flexible capacity-based allocations, that is specifically at Clause 7, Part 3, and Sub-Clause 3, and necessity-driven mechanisms ensuring minimal operational impact. In conclusion, to ensure the success, we must invest in capacity building for county officials and robust monitoring. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I urge all Honorable Senators to support this bill. It offers a clear, practical framework that will improve coordination between the national and county governments, giving the counties the tools and resources that will need to protect livestock during droughts, reduce heavy losses pastoralists continue to suffer, and strengthen our preparedness for climate change that have become a regular feature of our reality. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I call upon Senator Cherargei to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the distinguished Senator of Samburu, our Deputy Majority Whip, Chair, for this ably moving this bill. I think, Mr. Speaker, as we are aware under Article 96, one of the role of the Senate is to legislate, and we push for the welfare, and I appreciate where Senator Lilegwe, Dr. Lilegwe is coming from, because, Mr. Speaker, you have to appreciate that Samburu is one of the 13 counties that has been earmarked by World Bank program called Food Resilient Program, FSRB, if I got that one right. Food Resilient, Food System and Resilient Program, including Samburu, Baringo, the northern counties like Garissa, Marsabit, among others, where the World Bank intends to inject around 18 billion for the next 6 years between 2023 and 2024. So I want to congratulate him for ably moving and thinking about this bill, that the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill of 2024. Mr. Speaker, in this House, as I second, we have already discussed about the tea farmers, which is to your heart and also my heart, because most of our farmers tea. We have discussed issues of maize, which I'm very passionate about, the issues of sugar sector farmers. We have discussed even the Ngu farmers. We have discussed many types of farmers, cashew nut farmers, coconut farmers, dairy farmers, where Senator Lilegwe comes from. And I appreciate that for the first, I think, these rare occasions where we're discussing about pastoralists and farmers, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate Senator Lilegwe. Mr. Speaker, you remember in 2023, I did move a bill called the Prevention of Livestock Theft, Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft, which is in third reading in the National Assembly. And I thought that the issue of pastoralists and farmers, especially cattle keepers, Mr. Speaker, it should be protected. Most of us, we are referred to as pastoralists by nature. The fact that we later became farmers, all of us, especially, and I know Senator Lego appreciates this, all of us are pastoralists, Mr. Speaker, because there is Bantus, there are Nilotes, River-like Nilotes, Isla Nilotes, Mr. Speaker. And the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill is very important because, Mr. Speaker, I was having a discussion with the mover, and we realized that we have not thought about even livestock insurance to our farmers to ensure that during drought season, Mr. Speaker, you are aware, if the information I got is correct, is that we are likely to experience drought between September and August, Mr. Speaker, which will affect especially arid and semi-arid areas. And majority of this is where, Mr. Speaker, to give background to this information, are you aware that 70% of livestock are in arid and semi-arid areas, including Samburu, where the senator represents, and that 6, Mr. Speaker, percent of the population live in semi-arid and arid areas. Mr. Speaker, there are 7 million cattle keepers, just for colleagues to understand, in this country. And Mr. Speaker, by the numbers of Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, there is about 18 million cattle in terms of population, 28 goats million, and 17 million sheep that is in the country. Therefore, this shows that this sector is very critical. And the distinguished senator proposes that we must ensure there is sustainable feed. We are not talking about only feed, we are talking about quality and accessible, affordable feed, Mr. Speaker. Because for people who have largely been cattle keepers, you know the critical that the consumption of what the cattle or any livestock consume is important even in the production. So that you get high quality milk, you get a continuous production of milk, Mr. Speaker, and even meat that is being supplied to Kenya Meat Commission, Mr. Speaker. And we are being told that there is a shortage of livestock feed of dry matter of 33 million metric tons in the country. And this affects, Mr. Speaker, that is where this bill is trying to achieve, that we must have a strategy in place. Like we were discussing about fuel strategic grain reserve, we are discussing about food security of population, but we must discuss, I know there are over 3 million Kenyans who are facing challenges of access to food in the country, especially in people who live in Kakuma and many other areas. So, Mr. Speaker, we must agree. But also we must take accountability, because I'm aware, Speaker, the issue of emergency, especially during drought or floods, Mr. Speaker, is 2% of the budget is being allocated. But most of the counties allocate to it. Most of them eat 2%. Even if you go back to Bomet, I go to Nandi, go to Samuru or to Baringo, you will find that 2% of that emergency fund allocated of the budget is no longer there. In fact, governors have changed the emergency to something else, including for the comfort or paying the sanguenas and goons in this country, Mr. Speaker. So what we are trying to achieve is let us ensure livestock feed are of good quality, they are accessible. It is not enough to, Mr. Speaker, and you know with the crop failure, some of us in my region, especially in North Rift, we have decided to, just because maize might not, to transform them into silage, so that our livestock can be able to have that access, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the second point, so that the third point, I'll finish it with the bill, just to give colleagues the background, is I look at the Office of the Auditor General report of 2020 on National Management Drought Authority, NMDA. And I realize, Mr. Speaker, what the OAG pointed out, there is still, and I don't know if Senator Lilegwe, you know, we still have weak warning systems. Even if today you go to Samburu, what will you tell farmers? We don't have a strong warning systems that we might have a drought for a certain period of time. How do we prepare to prevent that? And one way is restocking of animal feed, so that when the drought comes in, we don't lose, we do what they are doing in Ethiopia, where 40% of losses was cut down, Mr. Speaker. So there is also an unavailability of funds that is still a challenge that the OAG noted. There is also, and I want to encourage the mover of motion, after we pass this bill and the senators, we must also ensure that there is still most of the laws that assist us in issue of emergency and drought, which is a component of livestock feeding to, especially to our farmers. Most of them are still in draft form, Mr. Speaker. They have not passed. So as a parliament, we must put in place necessary policies. I'm aware even the government, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the President and the Ministry of Agriculture, that they have ensured that they are going to ensure the bell, especially during dry season of the bell, that will be sold to farmers, is 250 shillings per bell, which is a subsidy, and 270 shillings silage, Mr. Speaker, so that it is affordable. So this, under this subsidy program of ensuring, and I'm aware that the government has put in the next 10 years, 465 billion. And that is why we need President William Ruto to serve for the next 10 years, so that he can maintain this vision of ensuring that we have, because you never know, the person who might want to run, they don't understand what challenges of farmers are facing. So the government has committed 465 billion Kenyan shillings in the next 10 years to ensure there is a sustainable feeding program, Mr. Speaker. And the OAG report of 2020, I want to encourage colleagues to look at it. The challenge is not that Senator Lilego and through the Speaker, the challenge is not that drought will not happen. The challenge is how we respond. We have never taken it as a country. We have never brought it to the level where, as a parliament, as national executive, we sit down and say, what do we do to farmers? There is the issue of restocking, especially when banditry attacks happen. There is the issue of livestock insurance, which we have never looked. There is the issue of feeding program to the livestock, Mr. Speaker. So I want to appeal, and I just go through, Mr. Speaker, and I was discussing with my Deputy Majority Whip that these donor funds are being also abused, because if you look at FLOCA, financing local communities, climate action programs, they are being eaten. If you go FLOCA, I saw in Nandi, the governor decided to do a renovation with FLOCA money for an office, almost 6 million. Yet the intention of FLOCA was not meant for office renovation or refurbishment, Mr. Speaker, or holding meetings in hotels. It was meant to assist. And that is why even under FSRB, Mr. Speaker, we need these donor funds. I know the rangelands, the issue of livestock feed is a donor program, some of them, Mr. Speaker, but it looks like the counties are using like FLOCA, NARIC, there is what we call National Value Chain Development Program. There is also KWASH, that is a KWASH that is in place, Mr. Speaker. These donor funds, and I want to appeal to the Deputy Majority Whip because he's a member of, I don't know whether he's a member of SBC, that we must refocus our energy to donor funds, Mr. Speaker, because I know tomorrow we are being told we are launching, I think, the performance index of counties. These donor funds are being eaten. They are becoming like imprest or pocket money for governors, for county entities, Mr. Speaker. Yet our farmers of livestock are not getting enough feeds, Mr. Speaker. They're looking at the objects, because this is the final issue, Mr. Speaker. We have seen that we established National Livestock Feed Reserve. Mr. Speaker, we were discussing with you the other day establishment of strategic grain reserve for the food security in the country. But I'm happy with the ingenuity of the distinguished doctor, because I know he has a PhD, Dr. Lilegwe, and when we grow up, we will read that so that we become PhD holders, is the established National Livestock Feed Reserve Program, Mr. Speaker, which is very critical because we'll get all the data. Because today, Mr. Speaker, if you ask the data of even how livestock should be fed in the country, no one will tell you.
Shall we rise, Honorable Senators? Senator Cherargei, when the session resumes, you will have 8 minutes to conclude on your contribution to this bill. Now, Honorable Senators, it is now 1 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 5th of August, 2026, at 2:30 p.m.